Where are you taking us next?
We'll go to Rwanda, where Rwanda has said they are disappointed by what they've called punitive measures by the UK to place sanctions on some of their personnel, but also on the country as a whole because of their involvement in the war in Congo. Now, over the years, the Rwandese have said they are not involved in the war, but recently that statement has changed. They have said that for their own security, it is important for them to take preventive measures against the war spilling over into their country. Now, in the statement, the UK said it was against Rwanda's support for M23, a rebel group that has captured swathes of the Democratic Republic of Congo in a deadly uprising. Rwanda used to deny backing M23, but recently it has adopted a more defensive line, saying the fighting near the border between the DRC and Congo is a threat to their security. More than 7,000 people have died and hundreds of thousands have fled their homes since the conflict escalated in January. Now, DR Congo's government says the UK aid humanitarian situation is critical and that it would halt. The UK says that they have halted bilateral aid to Rwanda. Earlier this month, the UK Foreign Secretary David Lammy said Rwanda receives about £32 million, which is $40 million of bilateral aid from the UK every year. Now, along with the suspension of the aid, the UK will impose other measures, such as looking into potential sanctions of future defense training assistance to Rwanda. These measures will last until a significant progress is made in in ceasing hostilities and withdrawing Rwandan troops from Congo. Now, experts believe that about between 3,000 and 4,000 Rwandan troops are present in Congo. Now, the UK has previously enjoyed good relations with Rwanda. You remember in 2022 until about 2023, they had arranged a deal, multi-million pound deal, in which some asylum seekers from the UK would be sent to Rwanda. The deal faced legal challenges and was scrapped last year. Now, the Congo government has been campaigning for international powers to suspend aid and impose sanctions on Rwanda. Now, Rwanda, on their part, say whatever the UK does or anybody else does not solve the situation in Congo. That is they are saying, it is easy for you to point to us as the problem, but even when you suspend the aid, there won't be any difference in the situation in Congo. Last week, the U.S. Treasury Department said it had imposed sanctions on Rwanda's state Minister of State for Regional Integration, James Kabarebe, and they accused Kabarebe, a former army chief, of being central to Rwanda's support of M23. Also sanctioned was Lawrence Kanyuka. Kanyuka is the M23 spokesperson, as well as two companies he controlled in France and the UK. The US Treasury said, you see, when they impose sanctions on a person or an individual, they also target their assets. So if you have property in any country and they assume you get money out of it and pump it into, say, the war or anything else, then that is a means for them of making sure maybe.
Has UK chosen a side? Would you say that the UK has now picked a side and this is where they choose to align with?
Well, for me, again, their sanctions are misplaced. And again, we mentioned yesterday, was it yesterday or the other day, and said that they look for their own interests as well. Because of the presence of minerals. I asked a question, what is in Rwanda, apart from Uganda's gorillas, the Nile, and so on?
You have to be careful when you say that, because trust me, that man you see out there will be coming for you. But for me...
Coming for who? Those
you,
no,
Alex.
Don't deceive
Alex,
yourself. That's a lie.
I'll leave it at that. But what I wanted to say was... Rwanda... I'll first go to with Congo. Congo came out to say, you know what, Arsenal and what's that other?
PSG,
PSG.
and others.
You guys, you are siding with them. You need to take away all your contracts with these people, because you are encouraging a country that is oppressing us and bring all this uncertainty within our
then
country.
condemning John, what's his name?
John Legend.
Legend.
Yes, why would you stage a concert? Of course, he stood his ground and things like that. But also, over time, we have seen Rwanda do several steps into, how should I call it? They were trying to make sure that they deal away with anything French, because they saw, like Alex says, that they had not gotten the help they needed during the genocide. So they have been doing so many steps in, actually right now they are trying to teach them English. So French is phasing out in Rwanda bit by bit. So seeing Rwanda as, for lack of a better word, a big-headed country, would we say that this gets to scare them?
They are not being big-headed, and
They
so
are.
on. They are standing their ground.
You
can't be tosobola kubeera kuntoliza abali America eyasimudde senyiga kakwate Bungereza ekoledde ekifuba kyekutte and so on. Unfortunately, nti weesanga nti era tubeera affected ng'amawanga ga Africa, and olw'okubanga I was hearing for Uganda's case, and more AIDS treatment or management in Uganda, the budget funded by the US aid is 60%, I think. That's what I heard. You get it. Uganda may be funding about 20% only of the budget. You get, and the advice, especially from religious leaders, is, guys, wake up. You can't be constantly looking to the outside to solve your domestic problems.
Right.
But you know,
as part of even our own budget, we make a budget that we cannot fund. So we're already looking out for the kind of help netubala netugamba okay budget yaffe y'omwaka ze zino sente kati singa tuba tufunye zino
European Union sengere US development partners beba bayita beba sabiriza baba bayita development partners kakati nanga borrowing
I don't even want to think of
and then you give yourselves allowances. Omanyi, I think Apostle Yabada Somesa, a week mabega, living within your means. But living within your means does not apply to the individual, the individual alone. It should apply to a country where you say, what are our resources like?
Right.
Should we live this kind of lifestyle when we are borrowing? Should you pay somebody 100 million shillings per month when you're borrowing the money?
We want to be called math, never maths, but
maths, never maths.
But we live like that either way. So let's rush to Guinea-Bissau for a quick one, where there's been tensions rising over the president's mandate expiry date. Now, the opposition in Guinea-Bissau has pledged to bring the nation to a halt today amid a conflict regarding the expiration date of President Umaro Sissoco Embalo's 5-year term. Now, Embalo's mandate concludes on Thursday, while the Supreme Court of Justice in Guinea has determined that it actually ends on September 4th. Now, tensions have escalated as Embalo announced on Sunday that both presidential and legislative elections would be postponed until November 30th, raising concerns about the potential unrest in a country with a history of military coups. Now, in a statement released, this declaration reflects the growing frustration among opposition leaders regarding the electoral timeline. Is it possible for a government to do this? But also, it should be noted that Embalo is 52 years and he's also a former army general. He has taken...
Those are qualifications for staying in power. He's young, and you need the army on your side in Africa if you're to lead in any country. In Africa. Okay, but we've seen it also in, it happened in Senegal, I think, where the president wanted to extend his term until he was forced. The people that held the election had only 3 weeks to organize an election because he hoped that he would extend his term until about June. But they said, we want it in April. That is the expiry of your mandate. You're done, you go. You get it?
Because now
succeeded.
the interesting dates are, one comes out to say September 4th, and now the other one is extending it all the way to November. But they have come out to say, the opposition, of course, we are going to paralyze the country completely on...
you don't want disorganization like that.
February
Just
27th.
exit. Just exit. It's like dying. You get it? You will die. So, instead of mistreating people and doing what, be good. Okay? So it's the same as leadership. You can't be in power forever. Eventually, either through dying or standing down or an election or an overthrow or whatever it is, the notion
Until
that you're
then,
the only one, you get it? It's not a monarch. A monarch is the queen dies and then the son takes over. Okay, that's where that happens. In other scenarios, you let democracy. If you claim you understand the meaning of democracy, let democracy reign. I'm talking about the people of Guinea-Bissau.
No, I get it, but until death comes, let me first ride the country to the right direction.
Which direction? Borrowing beyond your means. Okay, lastly, Donald Trump held at last his first cabinet meeting. I would want our producer to play the video because at the beginning he mentions and says in this about Elon Musk and says, I think Elon Musk, if there's anybody in this meeting who thinks Elon Musk has not done well, they shouldn't be in the meeting.
It should be noted, Musk is not a cabinet member.
Let's. I don't know whether you can quickly have it. The video of Donald Trump saying that. Donald Trump held his first cabinet meeting yesterday, turning the occasion.
Are you unhappy with it?
Is anybody
If you are, well, throw him out of here. Is anybody unhappy?
That was an awkward moment.
Are you unhappy with it? If you are, well, throw him out of here. Is anybody unhappy?
That was an awkward moment. Trump asked his cabinet today if any...
This is what happened. You notice that on the right is Rubio. Rubio, who is what, Secretary of State or something. I listened to him. Very intelligent fellow. Very intelligent fellow. He was mentioning something about U.S. aid and how they are, as a government, they are against the way they work or they do their business and so on. But in his first cabinet meeting, the key issues were he praised Rubio, Mark Rubio himself, and he praised also Elon Musk. Then he addressed the potential cabinet tensions as he repeatedly backed Elon Musk and Doge. That is the Department of Government Efficiency, which has been tasked with slashing government spending and the federal workforce. Now, this is a rich country that thinks government expenditure should be managed.
Yes.
In poor countries, they borrow themselves sick. Okay? They will borrow and borrow and borrow. Now, the government sought to dampen any speculation of tension between Musk and the rest of the team, and that's why you're hearing that statement. Now, the federal warning to federal workers, Musk says that Trump told him to be more aggressive, as in the president also addressed the email to federal employees asking them to list 5 things they had done in the last week, or risk losing their job, saying the cabinet is very much behind the initiative. Trump speculated without evidence that some of the approximately 1 million federal workers who haven't responded to the email maybe don't exist. Ghost workers, very common in some areas, in some countries.
We had it here as well.
Okay, then there was a memo that instructed further staff reductions. Apart from the ones they want to reduce, they want to further reduce them. Then he mentioned he confirmed that Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky will visit the White House tomorrow, something that he had previously suggested. Trump said that the visit would see the U.S. and Ukraine sign an expansive minerals deal. Remember, Zelensky refused that. He said we cannot exchange because the assumption for Trump is that we've already paid for those minerals.
Yeah,
because they've given
support
by supporting you in the war against Russia. Okay, then he says that the EU tariffs are coming very soon. Remember, he initially intended to place tariffs on Mexico and Canada.
Yeah.
Then he placed tariffs on China already. Now he says that European Union will be slapped with tariffs of 25%, and he will be announcing that very, very soon.
You know,
Your thoughts?
when I look at that, what is Elon Musk's qualification for being in the cabinet meeting?
What are the qualifications for Ugandan ministers being in cabinet?
Isn't it? No, it's
S6.
no, isn't that for only?
Members of parliament.
Yeah.
Even ministers.
Yeah, as long
Yeah.
as.
S6.
But that one money.
Yeah, auntie got holiday.
I got
S6. S6. Kakari pomala S6. They don't do the job. Theirs is supervisory. And their positions are appointment positions. They're not elective positions like members of parliament. Members of parliament, we send them. Okay, we spend our time in the sun and so on and elect them into office. Cabinet ministers, most of the positions actually are given out of number one, constituency. Constituency meaning that if you're an MP, you have support. Therefore, you can be a minister. Secondly, regional balance. Okay? If this area does not have anybody, let us create somebody for that area.
Who can be able to?
Wanji?
Who can be able to
Who
represent?
can be able to represent that region? And you'll see that it is...
All I see his qualification is having some moolah. So let's go out there, make that money. Never know, it will give us access to
what are
cabinet
Balaam's qualifications for his
to
position?
cabinet meetings. We'll leave it at that. Oh no, it is the kind of network, was it network or influence he had in his field.
That's what I'm
That
saying.
is what he was bringing to the
Influence.
table.
That's the constituents I'm talking about. You have a following.
Yeah.
With what you're creating now with social media. People are willing to advertise with you on your YouTube channel because you have
But
a following.
did he stay with that influence? Because that's the other thing, that coming to the table, he could
There
have
is also a
had.
power of negotiation, I think. If somebody can negotiate, then you get it. But he has an appeal, I think. I don't know. I'm not so much into what he does, but I think he has an appeal to a certain populace.
All right, we'll leave it at that. Go out there, make that money. It might create room for you in that cabinet meeting, but also be kind. Be kind to one another. We'll leave it at that. Have a blessed day.